Hi, Gia. William, hi. Tina. And Farah coming from Virginia. My sister's in Virginia. Hi, Dawn from Chicago. Denise. Hi, Barbara. So, yes, you're welcome on the lovely music. And I'm not sure if, this is a big pageant weekend in Little House world. So, this evening, I'm doing a Zoom call with Dr. Dale Cockrell, the ethnomusicologist who created the pause fiddle recordings. And we're doing it emanating out of Walnut Grove in connection with their pageant. But I'm not clear how people are able to actually watch this. They may be just streaming it for people who are attending the event, but I'm just not sure how they're doing it. And then tomorrow night from DeSmet, their pageant is being streamed at their Facebook page. And I did put a link on Allison's page just about 40 minutes ago. And this will go tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Time. So you can do your calculations if you want to hear a reading of the Hard Winter. In DeSmet, if you haven't been there, they do a series of plays based on the Little House books, and they do them in repertory. So, well, actually, they don't do them in repertory because they do one play a year, and they rotate that play through different seasons. And this year is the Hard Winter, and probably a very appropriate title for them to be doing. But they're going to be doing it like a radio play, and you'll be able to watch and listen via Facebook Live. And then next weekend, it will air or stream on South Dakota Public Broadcasting. So there will be a number of opportunities to enjoy the Hard Winter from DeSmet. In any case, today, right now, we have these happy golden years, and we are continuing with The Night Before Christmas. On Christmas Eve again, there was a Christmas tree at the church in town. In good time, the Christmas box had gone to Mary, and the house was full of Christmas secrets as the girls hid from each other to wrap the presents for the Christmas tree. But at 10 o'clock that morning, snow began to fall. Still, it seemed that it might be possible to go to the Christmas tree. All the afternoon, Grace watched from the window, and once or twice the wind moderated. By supper time, however, it was howling at the eaves, and the air was thick with flying snow. It's too dangerous to risk it, Pa said. It was a straight wind, blowing steadily, but you never could tell. It might turn into a blizzard while the people were in the church. No plans had been made for Christmas Eve at home, so everyone had much to do. In the kitchen, Laura was popping corn in the iron kettle set into the hole of the stovetop from which she had removed the stove lid. She put a handful of salt into the kettle. When it was hot, she put in a handful of popcorn. With a long-handled spoon, she stirred it, while with the other hand she held the kettle's cover to keep the corn from flying out as it popped. When it stopped popping, she dropped in another handful of corn and kept on stirring, but now she need not hold the cover, for the popped white kernels stayed on top and kept the popping kernels from jumping out of the kettle. Ma was boiling molasses in a pan. When Laura's kettle was full of popped corn, Ma dipped some into a large pan, poured a thick trickle of the boiling molasses over it, and then, buttering her hands, she deftly squeezed handfuls of it into little popcorn balls. Laura kept popping corn, and Ma made it into balls until the large dishpan was heaped with their sweet crispness. In the sitting room, Carrie and Grace made little bags of pink mosquito netting left over from last summer from the screen door. They filled the bags with Christmas candy that Pa had brought from town that week. Well, it's lucky I thought we'd want more candy than we'd likely get at Christmas tree, Pa took credit to himself. Oh, Carrie discovered, We've made one too many." Grace miscounted. "I did not," Grace cried. "Grace," Ma said. "I'm not contradicting," cried Grace. "Grace," said Pa. Grace gulped. "Pa," she said, "I didn't count wrong. I guess I can count to 5. There was candy enough for another one, and it looks pretty in the pink bag." "Well, so it does, and it's nice to have an extra, and we haven't always been so lucky," Pa told her. Laura remembered the Christmas on the Verdigris River in Indian Territory, when Mr. Edwards had walked 80 miles to bring her and Mary each one stick of candy. Wherever he was tonight, she wished him as much happiness as he had brought to them. She remembered the Christmas Eve on Plum Creek in Minnesota, when Pa had been lost in the blizzard and they feared he would never come back. He had eaten the Christmas candy while he lay sheltered 3 days under the creek bank. Now here they were in the snug, warm house with plenty of candy and other good things. Yet now she wished that Mary were there, and she was trying not to think of Almanzo. When he first went away, letters had come from him often. Then they had come regularly. Now, for 3 weeks, there had been no letter. He was at home, Laura thought, meeting his old friends and the girls he used to know. Springtime was 4 months away. He might forget her or wish that he had not given her the ring that sparkled on her finger. Pa broke into her thoughts. "Bring me the fiddle, Laura. Let's have a little music before we begin on these good things." She brought him the fiddle box, and he tuned the fiddle and resined the bow. "Well, what shall I play?" "Play Mary's song first," Laura answered. "Perhaps she is thinking of us." Pa drew the bow across the strings, and he and the fiddle sang. "Ye banks and braes and streams around the castle of Montgomery, green be your woods and fair your flowers, your waters never drumly. There summer first unfolds her robes, and there the langest tarry, and there I look the last farewell of my sweet Highland Mary." One Scots song reminded Pa of another, and with the fiddle he sang, "My heart is sair, I dare nae tell, my heart is sair for somebody. Oh, I could wake a winter night, for a sake of somebody." Ma sat in her rocking chair beside the heater, and Carrie and Grace were snug in the window seat. But Laura moved restlessly around the room. The fiddle sang a wandering tune of its own that made her remember June's wild roses. Then it caught up another tune to blend with Pa's voice. When marshaled on the mighty plain, the glittering hosts bestud the sky. One star alone of all the train can catch the sinner's wandering eye. It was my light, my guide, my all. It bade me dark forebodings cease. And through the storm and danger's thrall, it led me to the port of peace. Now safely moored my perils o'er, I sing first in night's diadem, forever and forevermore, the star of Bethlehem. Grace said softly, "The Christmas star." The fiddle sang to itself again while Pa cocked his head, listening. "The wind is rising," he said. "Good thing we stayed home." Then the fiddle began to laugh, and Pa's voice laughed as he sang, "Oh, do not stand so long outside. Why need you be so shy? The people's ears are open, John, as they are passing by. You cannot tell what they may think. They've said strange things before. And if you wish to talk a while, come in and shut the door. Come in, come in, come in." Laura looked at Pa in amazement as he sang so loudly, looking at the door. "Come in, come in, come," and someone knocked at the door. Pa nodded to Laura to go to the door while he ended the song, "Come in and shut the door." A gust of wind swirled snow into the room when Laura opened the door. It blinded her for a moment, and when she could see, she could not believe her eyes. The wind whirled snow around Almanzo as speechless she stood holding the door open. And here she is, opening the door, and there's Almanzo. "Well, come in," Pa yelled. "Come in and shut the door." Shivering, he laid the fiddle in its box and put more coal on the fire. "That wind blows the cold into a fella's bones," he said. "What about your team?" "I drove Prince, and I put him in the stable beside Lady," Almanzo answered, as he shook the snow from his overcoat and hung it with his cap on the polished buffalo horns fastened to the wall near the door, while Ma rose from her chair to greet him. Laura had retreated to the other end of the room beside Carrie and Grace. When Almanzo looked toward them, Grace said, "I made an extra bag of candy." "And I brought some oranges," Almanzo answered, taking a paper bag from his overcoat pocket. "And I have a package with Laura's name on it, too, but she isn't going to speak to me." "I can't believe it is you," Laura murmured. "You said you would be gone all winter." "Well, I decided that I didn't want to stay away so long. And as you will speak to me, here's your Christmas gift." "Come, Charles, put the fiddle away," said Ma. "Carrie and Grace, help me bring in the popcorn balls." Laura opened the small package that Almanzo gave her. The white paper unfolded, and there was a white box inside. She lifted its lid, and there in the nest of soft white cotton lay a gold bar pin. On its flat surface was etched a little house, and before it along the bar lay a tiny lake and a spray of grasses and leaves. "Oh, it's beautiful," she breathed. "Thank you." "Can't you think a fellow better than that?" he asked. And then he put his arms around her while Laura kissed him and whispered, "I'm glad you came back." Pa came from the kitchen, bringing a hodful of coal, and Ma followed. Carrie brought in a pan of popcorn balls, and Grace gave everyone a bag of candy. While they ate their sweets, Almanzo told of driving all day in the cold winds and camping on the open prairie with no house nor shelter near, as he and Royal drove south into Nebraska. He told of seeing the beautiful Capitol building at Omaha, of muddy roads where they turned east into Iowa, where the farmers were burning their coal for fuel because they could not sell it for as much as 25 cents a bushel. He told of seeing the Iowa State Capitol at Des Moines, the rivers in flood that they crossed in Iowa and Missouri until when faced with the Missouri River, they turned north again. So with interesting talk, the evening sped by until the old clock struck 12. "Merry Christmas," Ma said, rising from her chair. "Merry Christmas," everyone answered. Almanzo put on his overcoat, his cap and mittens, said good night, and went out into the storm. Faintly, the sleigh bells rang as he passed the house on his way home. "Did you hear them before?" Laura asked Pa. "Yes, and nobody was ever asked to come in oftener than he was," said Pa. "I suppose he couldn't hear me in the storm." "Come on, girls," Ma said. "If you don't go to sleep soon, Santa Claus will have no chance to fill the stockings." In the morning, there would be all the surprises from the stockings, and at noon there would be the special Christmas feast with a big fat hen stuffed and roasted, brown and juicy, and Almanzo would be there, for Ma had asked him to Christmas dinner. The wind was blowing hard, but it was not the shriek and howl of a blizzard wind, so probably he would be able to come tomorrow. "Oh, Laura," Carrie said as Laura blew out the lamp in the bedroom, "isn't this the nicest Christmas? Do Christmases get better all the time? Yes, Laura said, they do. Teachers' examinations. Through a March snowstorm, Laura rode to town with Pa in the bobsled to take the teachers' examinations. There was no school that day, so Carrie and Grace stayed at home. Winter had been pleasant on the claim, but Laura was glad that spring was coming soon. Vaguely, as she rode in the nest of blankets on the hay, she thought of the pleasant winter Sundays with the family and Almanzo in the cozy sitting room, and she looked forward to long drives again through the summer sunshine and wind. She wondered if Barnum would still be gentle after the long winter in a stable. And as they neared the schoolhouse, Pa asked if she were nervous about her examinations. "Oh, no," she answered through the frosty veil. "I am sure I can pass. I wish I were as sure of getting a school I will like." "Well, you could have the Prairie School again," said Pa. "Well, I would rather have a larger one with more pay," Laura explained. "Well," said Pa cheerfully, as they stopped at the schoolhouse, "the first bridge is the examinations, and here we are. Time enough to cross the next bridge when we come to it." Laura was impatient with herself because she felt timid when she went into the room full of strangers. Nearly every desk was occupied, and the only person she knew was Florence Wilkins. When she touched Florence's hand, she was startled. It was cold as ice, and Florence's lips were pale from nervousness. Laura felt so sorry for her that she forgot her own timidity. "I'm scared," Florence said in a low, shaking voice. "All the others are old teachers, and the examination is going to be hard. I know I'll never pass." "Pooh, I bet they're scared too," Laura said. "Don't worry, you'll pass all right. Just don't be frightened. You know you've always passed examinations." Then the bell rang, and Laura faced the list of questions. Florence was right. They were hard. Working her way through them, Laura was tired when intermission came. By noon, she felt her own heart failing. She began to fear that she would not get a certificate, but she worked doggedly on until she was through. Her last paper was collected with the others, and Pa came to take her home. "I don't know, Pa," she said in answer to his question. "It was harder than I expected, but I did the best I could." "Well, no one can do better than that," Pa assured her. At home, Ma said that no doubt it would be all right. "Now, don't fret. Forget about it until you hear the results of the examinations." Ma's advice was always good, but Laura repeated it to herself every day and almost every hour. She went to sleep telling herself, "Don't worry," and woke up thinking with dread, "The letter may come today." At school, Florence had no hope for either of them. "It was too hard," she said. "I'm sure only a few of the oldest teachers passed it." A week went by with no word. Laura hardly expected Almanzo to come that Sunday, for Royal was sick with the grippe. Almanzo did not come. There was no letter on Monday. There was no letter on Tuesday. A warm wind had melted the snow to slush, and the sun was shining. So Wednesday, Pa did not come for Laura. She and Carrie and Grace walked home. The letter was there. Pa had got it that morning. "What does it say, Ma?" Laura cried as she dropped her coat and crossed the room to pick up the letter. "Why, Laura," Ma said in astonishment, "you know I'd no more look at another person's letter than I'd steal." With shaking fingers, Laura tore the envelope and took out a teacher's certificate. It was a second grade one. "It's better than I expected," she told Ma. "The most I hoped for was third grade. Now if I can only have the good luck to get the right school." "A body makes his own luck, be it good or bad," Ma placidly said. "I have no doubt you will get as good as you deserve." Laura had no doubt she would get as good as a school as she could get, but she wondered how to make herself the good luck to get the one she wanted. She thought about little else that night, and she was still thinking about it the next morning when Florence came into the schoolroom and came directly to her. "Did you pass, Laura?" she asked. "Yes, I got a second-grade certificate," Laura answered. "I didn't get any, so I can't teach our school," Florence said soberly. "But this is what I want to tell you. You tried to help me, and I would rather you taught our school than anyone else. If you want it, my father says you may have it. It is a 3-month school beginning the 1st of April, and it pays $30 a month." Laura could hardly get the breath to answer, "Oh, yes, I do want it." "Father said, if you did, to come and see him, and the board will sign the contract." "I will be there tomorrow afternoon," Laura said. "Thank you, Florence, so much." "Well, you have always been so nice to me. I'm glad of a chance to pay some of it back," Florence told her. Laura remembered what Ma had said about luck, and she thought to herself, "I believe we make most of our luck without intending to." And that's the end of our second chapter for today. That was a pretty quick one. Those are 2 pretty quick chapters. But I am going to stop there because that's what we're doing. And we're doing 2 chapters a day, so I'm going to stop. I hope you enjoyed it. It's fun. I love the little things they do at Christmas, and the fact that Almanzo came to surprise her, and when she was not expecting it at all. It's a lovely thing that the way she wrote that, and the quick moment they shared together where he put his arms around her and she gives him a quick kiss while Ma and Pa and the girls are out of the room so that there's privacy there. Really interesting, really fun. Listen, Allison will be back tomorrow, and I think that I'm going to be with you one more time at least for the wedding itself. And Allison and I will confer on what day that's going to come up, but it's soon, so we're almost done. Watch your social distancing. Care for each other and those you love. Hope that they are looking out for you too. It's a communal thing that we have to do for each other. So I'll see you soon, and look for Allison tomorrow, and all the best. And remember, tomorrow night from DeSmet, The Hard Winter, on the Facebook Live page of the DeSmet pageant, and the link is on Allison's page there. Have a great day, you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.